Thank you for tuning in. This is Lance, your host of Strange Bites, where we take real science and wrap it up in a creative story and serve it in 15 minutes or less. If you're enjoying the show, please hit that subscribe button on your favorite podcast app. Give me a follow on social media. And now, let's jump into the next bite. In episode 51, we're going deep into the heart of the thing that makes you, you. The thing that makes the chair you're sitting in solid. The air you're breathing real, and keeps the stars above your head burning. For 50 years, physicists have been arguing over a deceptively simple question. What actually carries the identity of a proton? What keeps matter from dissolving into a fog of pure energy? Tonight, we don't just answer that question, we rewrite the address of reality itself. Let's put ourselves in the scene. You're standing in a dark control room on Long Island, New York, at Brookhaven National Laboratory. Outside, a massive ring of magnets once hurled gold nuclei and other heavy atoms at nearly the speed of light. That machine, the Relativistic Heavy Ion Collider, or RHIC, has now been retired. But before it went silent, its star detector captured something that had been hiding for half a century. Inside every proton are three main quarks. Two up and one down. For decades, the textbook story said those three quarks carried the proton's most important passport stamp, its baryon number. Baryon number is the quantum property that basically says, I am matter, not antimatter. 1 for a proton or neutron, 0 for most other particles, -1 for their antimatter twins. It is fiercely conserved. In the entire history of the observable universe, we have never seen a proton simply vanish. But there was always another theory, first sketched out in the 1970s. It said the baryon number doesn't live on the quarks at all. Instead, it lives in a strange Y-shaped structure made of pure glue, a network of massless gluons that bind those three quarks together like the center of a three-way rope. Theorists called it the baryon junction. For 50 years, almost no one could tell the difference. The junction is attached to the quarks. Most experiments couldn't separate the two, until Starr started looking at the wreckage in a new way. They examined two special kinds of collisions. First, isobar collisions. They smashed nuclei of ruthenium against nuclei of zirconium. These two elements have the same mass number, but different number of protons. So different electric charges. The valence quarks carry electric charge. The proposed junction carries none. What they saw was startling. The baryon number was transported farther through the hot, dense collision zone than the electric charge was. The identity of the proton was sliding through the chaos more easily than the charged pieces. Exactly what you'd expect if the chargeless Y-shaped junction was the real carrier. Second, they looked at photonuclear collisions. Gold nuclei racing past each other at nearly light speed create a cloud of virtual photons, particles of light that act almost real for a moment. Those photons smashed into the opposing gold nucleus. Because the photon itself carries 0 baryon number, every net baryon that appears in the debris has come from the gold. Again, the data lined up with the junction picture and with an older framework called Regge theory that had quietly included the junction all along. Models that only used the three valence quarks struggled. Models with the junction fit. Zhengbu Xu of Kent State University in Brookhaven, one of the leaders of the analysis, put it plainly. The results suggest the baryon number is not simply carried by individual quarks. It is more favorably carried and transported by the gluons arranged in that special Y-shaped configuration. The paper landed in the journal Science in August 2026. An accompanying perspective by physicist Wenliang Li of Mississippi State was careful. The measurements strongly suggest the gluon field is involved, but they are not yet a fully direct, laboratory-controlled photograph of the junction itself. Still, after 5 decades, the valence quark-only picture is in serious trouble. So far, only the baryon junction remains qualitatively consistent with everything observed. So let's slow down and feel what this means. The glue is not just the glue. The force that holds the quarks together is also carrying the very identity of the matter it binds. The thingness of a proton lives, at least in part, in the relationship between its parts rather than the parts alone. That is a strange and beautiful idea. We have always treated the building blocks of matter as tiny, hard, independent objects that simply happen to stick together. This discovery suggests the stickiness itself is the deeper identity. The proton's passport is not stamped on the 3 passengers. It is stamped on the map that connects them. If that is true, then the stability of every atom, every molecule, every living cell, every planet is rooted not just in particles, but in a topological pattern of pure force, a Y of massless energy that somehow refuses to let the universe forget what it is. And that pattern may hold clues to one of the deepest unanswered questions we have. Why is there something rather than nothing? Why did the early universe produce a tiny excess of matter over antimatter, so that after almost everything annihilated, a little matter was left over to form stars, planets, and us? Baryon number is at the heart of that mystery. If the carrier of baryon number is a gluonic junction rather than the quarks alone, then the process that created the imbalance in the first fraction of a second after the Big Bang may have operated on the structure of the force field itself. Future experiments at the electron-ion collider already under construction at Brookhaven will probe these junctions with far greater precision. We may finally learn whether the asymmetry that allowed our existence was written into the geometry of the glue. There is a quieter implication too. If the identity of matter lives in the connections rather than the nodes, then perhaps we have been looking at reality through the wrong lens for a very long time. We are not merely a collection of particles, temporarily stuck together. We are patterns of relationship that the universe has chosen, for reasons still unknown, to protect with almost perfect fidelity across 14 billion years. The Y that holds the proton may be a small local expression of a larger truth. That what is fundamental is not the thing, but the way things are bound. And that is a strange bite worth chewing on. That's it for the story. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, hit that subscribe button on your favorite podcast app. Give me a follow on social media. Share it with a friend. And until next time, stay strange and question everything.